Hi there, I'm Kelsey Smith with Smith's Ridge, and today I am doing two big tasks. The first task is I am preparing for our spring 2024 homeschool semester. I'm getting really kind of that big picture overview prepared, and while I do like to make sure that we're at a certain place academically, that my kiddos are on track. I also create this plan with flexibility in mind. You'll notice that I use a pencil when I'm writing because it is easy to erase because plans change. And I'd like to be flexible depending on the seasons and what we have going and our priorities. Maybe one kiddo is struggling and we need a break for a day because it's just not working. Sometimes you can push and push and push, and really the thing is you just need a little bit of a break, a breather, or just to shift gears. And so I really like to be flexible for the sake of our family. And really, that's why we homeschool too. If we want to take things outside, if we want to adjust our what weeks we're off of school because there's something fun going on that we want to be a part of. So again, just really keeping in mind that we like to be flexible, and but I also do like to have a plan, and I like to be have a little bit of uniformity and kind of routine for us. The other big task that I am doing today is packing up our family to go on a trip for the next 4 or 5 days to Tennessee. And if you've ever gotten your family ready to go to town, you know that it can be quite time consuming. So getting everyone ready. Our little baby is 5, almost 6 weeks, I guess. He'll be 6 weeks old tomorrow. So this will be his first trip, and that will be. I'm interested to see how it goes. He does sleep pretty well in the truck, so I'm hoping that he just takes a couple of big long naps, and that it'll be an easy trip, but we'll find out. So, moving on, while we're in Tennessee, we are going to be doing something crazy. We are going to be looking at houses, and my husband is going to be finishing up the interview process for a company that he applied for back in September. We put things on hold with the birth of our youngest son, and then resumed those just shortly after he was welcomed into the world. So he's applying to a position in Franklin, Tennessee, and it's a great company that's so culturally rich. He applied to it just thinking, like, oh, why not? I was like, yeah, go for it. Really thinking, what are the chances? This company is so big, it will probably be easy for an applicant to just get lost in a stack of applications. But here we are, a few months later, and going to just explore the area and see if this could be where we're supposed to be. And we're really praying for discernment and clarity, and just very much a. I have a really strong gut, so I'm just hoping for my gut feeling to kick in and for us to be able to know which direction we're supposed to go. It is very, very difficult to imagine leaving Northwest Arkansas. We both grew up in this area and are raising our kids here. It's very special to us. We love the property that we're on now. We've put so much heart and work into it. We love our home. I mean, it's a very unique space. I have not really shown it much on the videos here, but we love our home. It's going to be tough to leave, and so we really just need clarity on where we're supposed to be. So I will keep you guys posted, and that will dictate what our future videos look like. I may be shooting videos on starting up a new homestead, and so that'll be interesting. We are going to look at places with more acreage than our current place. So one of the places we're looking at has 55 acres, and a 20-acre place, so a little more space. So that will be fun to kind of imagine, and definitely an incentive. Another incentive would be the potential of getting out of debt much sooner, being able to pay off a place based on the sale of our current place. So we'll see where things go, but for today, let's get back to the topic at hand, which is preparing for the spring semester with lots of flexibility in mind. In order to prepare for the spring semester, or for really every semester, I like to kind of do the same routine where I first start out with just a couple of really simple lists handwritten on a piece of paper. I do type those into the computer because I tend to computer. That's where I keep our overview of which lessons I want us to be on, but then also just various kind of components of what our school semester looks like. So first I like to look at what extras we're going to be having for the semester. So different activities we have going on, and I like to list out any field trips that I really want us to go on. Usually those will also accompany or pair with a science lesson. We also do some extracurricular. So last semester, for example, one of my boys took ukulele lessons. We also did a co-op where we did a lunch recess and a class there. This semester, we're going to try doing some sports. So we're going to have baseball and soccer going on. So I like to just get that big picture down, listing out a couple of field trips, listing out our extracurricular activities that the boys want to do, and then setting some goals for each child. And they're, well, academically related, some things are more kind of personal development as well. If you like an area that they might be struggling, such as focus or listening, I like to kind of list those goals and then brainstorm some ways to achieve kind of improving in those areas. And then we sit down and talk about what that looks like. So we have a one-on-one conversation at the beginning of the semester, and really take a look at kind of where they are personally and how they want to develop. Today, I did start also planning my first week of school just a little bit on that note, because I thought of a few writing prompt topics that I wanted to incorporate into the first week of school. So I did go ahead and jot those down and put them into the writing journal notebooks so that I went ahead and had that done. It was easy to do, and I got one more thing off of my list. So that was nice to accomplish. With that overview, I also take a look at our electives. And for electives, I mean, like, are we going to do history? What are we going to do for science? Those types of things. So this semester for spring 2024, we'll be finishing up a science unit and focusing on the Victorian era from 1837 to 1901. And I like to take a look through the lessons and really see, does anything jump out to me that I already have on hand that I can use for these lessons. So, for example, one of the topics is Amelia Earhart and flight exploration. So I remembered a book that we had about Earhart and wanted to incorporate that into the lesson. So I went ahead and made a note of that. So I just get that high level picture in my mind so that things can naturally fall together. And this isn't really a time consuming piece to what I do. It's really just a flip through and like what comes to mind, and really just thinking about how I want to approach the lessons. We are only doing history once a week right now, and then I also do science unit studies. And with those, I really plan them around things that my kiddos are interested in. For example, this semester we're really going to be focusing on weather, how different, for lack of a better term, how the weather works. So one of my kiddos was like, "Why do we have rain? And why is it so cold? Why does just different weather related questions?" So I thought, oh, and how is wind created? So I thought we would really focus on weather this next semester and incorporate that into our outdoor activities such as gardening and just kind of our outdoor focused lifestyle. So I thought that would be a lot of opportunity for fun things. I don't get into the granular details right off the bat because these things, the first semester, I guess, that I ever did homeschooling, I did plan out every little detail, but right now I definitely just kind of let things come as they do and put them together in a more natural way. So if you're new to homeschooling, please be encouraged that you don't have to have that set in stone plan. And maybe you do for the first year, but after that you might feel more relaxed in how learning it really becomes a lifestyle, and you see how you can learn through cooking and different activities in the daily life. So this semester, in addition to some science unit studies that I'll put together and the history lesson that we'll be doing from Good and the Beautiful, I also will be doing some readings from Tuttle Twins. My boys love those books, and so I plan on incorporating those into our learning as well. And then, of course, we'll have Bible study incorporated. Like I mentioned earlier, we'll learn through farming too, through our activities outside, and really incorporate that weather unit study into being outside and our what our activities are and the changing of the weather, because it's pretty dramatic here in Northwest Arkansas where January, February we'll be able to experience cold and snow and freezing temperatures, and then by the end of the semester we'll be really warming up into spring, and the garden will be going. So it'll be fun to kind of, I think, do that this time of year. I'm pretty excited about it. We also have, I have some book, more picture books, but some different winter related books that I put together from my little home library, if you will. It's definitely a work in progress, but I collect books that, children's books especially, that, and family books that I know that we would enjoy and that I want to have in this collection. So I put together some book bundles for winter, and I'll be using those as inspiration for writing prompts. So, for example, in the fall, we did a book about the Pony Express, and then we had writing prompts surrounding that. We discussed the topic and we did some research to accompany it. So, I utilize those in our learning. And this semester, for example, we've got a book about Valley Forge. I plan on doing a little bit of a review on the Revolutionary War, since we talked a lot about that last semester, and really do a recap. And then move into some of these other, like A Coat for Anna is a really sweet book. Oh my goodness. And a few of these others that I just really love. Also looking at just kind of, I mentioned the weather. These books will incorporate into science too. So several of them have snow on the ground, looking at different animal ecosystems in the winter, or several are about mammals in the winter and their activities. So I thought we could do a focus on bears and also writing prompts on that. So all of these will incorporate pretty naturally. I'll have a specific day of the week where I've got some time that is allotted for these readings and these discussions, followed by the writing prompts. And of course, the writing prompts are different based on age and ability. I am a list maker, so getting those lists created from the get go really helps me with planning and just getting that picture, getting my mind kind of shifted to homeschool after being off for quite some time. Last semester, we started school in mid July and then ended it around November 9th because this baby was due, and he didn't come till November 21st, so he had plans of his own. But we really just shifted our schedule around for our life at the time, and that was wonderful. But now we've been off school for a solid like 6, 8 weeks, something along those lines, and we've got to really get back in gear. So another thing I like to do is look in my planner. I use the Day Designer planner, and at the front of it, it has an overview of the year with just kind of smaller calendars. So I take a look at that, and I take a look at when we went to be off of school. For us, I really don't like to do school longer than 6 weeks at a time, or like consecutive weeks without doing a break, even if it's just like a half a week break. But for the most part, I like to take full week breaks. During that time, we just don't do formal learning. We still learn, we still have learning type activities, we still read, but we're not doing formal, like sit down, do a lesson, and have a really hardcore routine. That also allows me some planning time. So on those weeks that we're off, I do take time to look ahead, what's coming up, and then I get more granular in, say, like planning our science studies that I want to focus on, and or making plans for the garden and how we're going to incorporate that into school, things like that. So I do end up doing some planning and really using that time very wisely, but we end up needing a break. Last semester, when waiting for baby to get here and just not really sure what that timeline would look like, we hit hard. We barely took off. We took off like 3 days, I think, for my youngest son's birthday. And that was it. that was tough. By the end of the semester, we were just totally checked out. I think ended up like finishing up school November 9th, and I had plans to go longer than that. I was gonna go, I think till maybe like the 15th or so. But anyways, we can handle it, and we got a lot done last semester. So it was a good semester, but I'm definitely looking forward to spring 2024. So the other big thing that I like to do is I take a look at our Good and the Beautiful lesson plan books. And in my spreadsheet, I have a breakdown of each week. So I take a look at my little calendar overview in the day designer planner, and I enter in each week. So January 11th through 13th, January 15th and the 20th, the 22nd and 26th. And I have this little layout where I put what assignment number or lesson number I want us to be on for each book. And that is really just math and language arts right now. Because we do group learning for history and science. I take a look at what lesson number we ended on in the previous semester and where we'll be ending or headed toward in the spring semester. I also like at this point in time to go ahead and get online and order our next books, just so that those are ready. It looks like we'll be wrapping up on a couple of these in mid-April, so I want to make sure that we have the next course book to move on to, and we don't have to wait for those to ship. Also, just don't want to forget those in the busyness of the semester. Now, I guess since we could be moving to Tennessee this year, I will not be ordering yet. I'll wait till after this trip and after we determine what we'll be doing, where we'll be going, what our lives are going to look like. At this point in time, when I'm looking at where we ended in the fall semester, I do like to make a note of things that I want to review. So, for example, with my youngest, we started multiplication, and it was still a really new concept when we wrapped up in the fall. So, I wanted to take some time outside of just the typical lesson and really review that concept. That's just one example, but I do that with really pretty much each topic for both of my kiddos. And I really just make notes at this point. I'm not really getting granular with the week. I will plan our first week and really get down into the details, but that is not what I'm doing today. I enter in my what lesson I want us to be on by the end of each week, and then on a weekly basis, when I'm planning the next week, I take a look back at the previous week and see where we were and where we are we on track. Now, with the way that I use, I like Good and the Beautiful because it is open and go. I may not always use it, and I have used other curriculum too, but this is what we're using this semester, and I do really like this, but I modify it quite a bit based on where we are, what my kids need, what the individual child is doing well, or maybe needs more support in. For example, if one kiddo, let's say we're studying graphs and graphs are just coming really, really naturally, we're moving through them quickly, we might skip over some of the independent work practice and just move past it. And so that might, and get started on the next lesson instead of just sitting there working on something that we already know how to do. Or I would use that time to focus on something else that we are struggling a little bit. If multiplication isn't coming easily, or we need some practice on long division. So whatever those topics are, I really like to just be very flexible. Again, flexibility I think is so important when you homeschool. So I just put these down pretty loosely, but it also gives me a picture of where we need to be and want to be. And I do not push a really heavy, like, we must sit down and do each of these lessons. So right now we're doing about 3 to 4, sometimes 5 lessons in each individual, just these core like math and language arts per week. So like 3 math lessons per week, 4 language arts per week. It varies a little bit depending on the week and the lessons, but we don't do that really heavily because I do supplement quite a bit and I do modify the lesson. So I look at the lesson and subtract or add things, and then I also have a day or two where we don't focus on these like curriculum type things. It's days where we might be outside, we have plans for the garden, or we have a project that we need to do and incorporate that into a lesson. Or we have a field trip for the day, or I really want to have focus on like reading and Bible study and writing, because I do feel like right now one of my kiddos is not getting enough writing opportunity with this curriculum, and so I'm adding in more prompts and we're doing things outside of this coursework. So while I do keep this as just our guide, I think that's a great way to look at it, is I use this as my guide for the semester, and then I really plan things as we go and modify and adjust based on our needs. But this guide really is helpful and kind of gives me peace of mind that I know I'm working towards making. I really enjoy the planning part of homeschool. I love being creative with how we can incorporate our lifestyle into learning and really incorporate our homestead activity into learning. So I really take pride and really enjoy this kind of piece. I am a planner, I'm a list maker, so it really helps me to get my mind on what's to come. I'm really looking forward to the spring 2024 semester, and we'll be wrapping up our fourth year homeschooling. And if you're a homeschooler, I'd love to hear from you and hear what are some tools that you use to plan for this semester and what you're looking forward to this year. I also hope that you'll subscribe, it really helps us out, and I'll see you in the next video.